The channel is called Living in Tampa, and it's really about living and moving to Tampa. And I kind of steered into an advantage I thought I had. It was, I know what it's like to move here, and I'm discovering this area. Just remember, we want to hear from you. We actually do. Some of it's more about us, and I think that kind of would help people to have more of a call to action to say, I want to hear from you. Those subscribers is such a vanity metric because like the guys that are above me in my upline are in Denver. They have less subscribers than me. They have less views than me. I closed 25 deals last year. They closed 140.
This is the Be More Show for agents, where you'll find real talk, and ambition. We're here to build real businesses and be more than your average agent. We want to know what killers are actually doing within their businesses, the reality of it, all tactical, no fluff. So we're here to find out. Please share and enjoy.
Sam in the house. Sal, you're not dancing with me this time. God, you're supposed to dance.
Sam! All right, there it is.
I refuse to dance.
Sam is not into
What's
this.
up, Sam?
That's okay. We like to just like go full force even when you don't like it. So welcome.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, it's about you. It's not about me.
Okay, well, it's not supposed to be, but that's fine. Okay, Sam, you and we go back. I don't even know when. I don't know when our story started to unfold.
Not that far.
But it was not okay. Well, it feels
Yesterday.
like it's a very deep connection. So wow. But we're definitely internet friends. And yeah, through probably Bigger Pockets and Instagram, and then like a little bit of like been on Zooms before where we just talk about life. And I was on your podcast recently, and which people, you should check it out. It's called Unemployable. It's very interesting. And yeah, and I just like you. You call me on my, which is really fun. You give me like feedback for ways to improve on Instagram all the time. You're like, you f- this up. And I'm like, thank you very much. And that's how I know you. And we're so excited to have you.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
And for those that don't know, I'm going to go into your stats. So you are a realtor out in Tampa, Florida, and your niche, which I'm so excited for this topic, it's YouTube clients. So growing your YouTube presence and getting clients that way. You've been an agent for 3 years, which is around the time when you created your YouTube video, your YouTube channel, if I can do math right ish.
Yeah, about 6 months in is when I started that.
Yeah, nice. You've done 50 closings altogether. You've done 25 closings in 2022 and 20 already in 2023. And we are in the month of May, which is amazing. So you kind of like call yourself a team leader-ish. We can go into that too. So you have 2 buyers agents. And what I think is the most impressive metric is you have 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, and you pretty much just started that channel in 2021. So I love that because so many agents are afraid of the camera, are afraid of, what their hair looks like and what kind of message they're presenting. So I'm excited to dig into all of this. Thank you, Sam, for coming on.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. I've had so many videos where like my editor doesn't even catch that there was like a booger hanging out of my nose, and I just publish it.
Cute.
And I'll even like call it out, like put some graphics on there and point at it, and then it goes away midway in the video, and like clients don't care.
Goes back up the nose.
Yeah, somewhere. It went somewhere.
Hashtag booger.
There was probably some comment about it. Any kind of engagement comments is good. Who cares?
Yeah, and I feel like the part so the 10,000 subscribers, of course, that's really cool. But I feel like the coolest part is that you mentioned this, I think last week, is that you get 10 to 15 like good leads already not obsessed, that's sound bad, already really, really like you and will only work with you per week, which people really want that. But before we jump into like all the cool stuff, hit us with your show.
Yeah, show. I mean, you guys have some pretty intense versions of this. Mine's not as intense. I don't know if that's a me thing or maybe I'm just not as crazy. So when I started my YouTube channel, I had closed 2 deals ever. And I started getting some leads pretty quick and got this one lead, and they were in town for like a weekend. This man called me. His wife had just gotten offered a job at this hospital. Yeah, let's go see some stuff. I pretend like I'm busy, pretend like I know what I'm doing, and go meet him at some open houses, show him some stuff. And then it's like, great, let's move forward. The next day, we're like, hey, we found this house. Can we go see it? Yeah, let's go see it. Set up a showing. No problem. I drive an hour to get there. Then go unlock the door, Henry and Nancy are following me in, and as I open the door, someone on the other side is like, "Excuse me, what are you doing here?" And it was like I scheduled it for the wrong day,
Oh,
just like totally like
Love
shit
it.
the bed on it, like, and then I was just like super apologetic to my clients. They went back, had to leave for Chicago in like an hour, so it's not like they could even stay and see it. And they bought the house.
oh wow.
Sight unseen?
So,
Or did they buy it? Did they
we
get in it
went
later?
ahead and made an offer. They got to come back and see it during the inspection period, and it was like the neighborhood and we kind of know the layout because we've seen similar houses. It just worked out.
Dude.
Yeah, that was
Damn.
my first closing from YouTube, and I just feel like I kind of stumbled through every aspect of it.
But you have to, like you have to in order to just
Yeah.
like do your first couple transactions. Oh my, that could have
Yeah.
been bad.
Oh, I
Like
know.
imagine if they came like with like a gun or a knife. You're like, who the is this? Although some sellers, like are should be aware that people are going to just knock on the door, peep through the
Yeah.
windows. Like I tell my sellers, like
We're
close your
just gonna
fucking
walk around the
curtains.
backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, naked, skinny dipping. Like, oh man, that could have been bad. But I'm glad everything turned out well.
Everything turned out.
Same. And then Nancy and what was it? I love how you just called them out as well, like by
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
I would have been like, these
They're-
guys. He's like, no, the first, last social security number is like
Yeah.
the whole thing.
They were awesome. Immigrants from Ghana had both come here and joined the Air Force, go through school.
Cool.
Just awesome people.
Dude, very
Wow.
awesome. And
Yeah.
then you survived. Okay. And then, so real quick, what happened before real estate? What led
Sure.
up to you being like, I want to do this?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go way back. First
Okay.
of all, grew up in a super small town in Oklahoma, about 9,000 people, surrounded by
Is it
ranch land.
Enid?
So no, Cushing, way smaller than Enid.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Spent some
Um,
time in Enid.
yeah, a lot of military people have. So grew up in Cushing, left as soon as I could, right after high school. Started working for a big nonprofit pretty quickly after that in Colorado Springs. Worked for them for 10 years and kind of got, every opportunity that I asked for. 90% of opportunities I asked for, whether that was promotions, they paid for me to go to school. They sent me to 30 countries. Like I did
Wow.
all kinds of stuff with them. But I always kind of knew like this real estate interest was brewing. Kind of thought it was next. During the pandemic, we decided to move to Tampa.
We love your DMs on Instagram, and as long as you don't sound like a bot or aren't sharing your overnight crypto success, hit us up on Instagram. Let's be friends. We're at The Shelby Show and at Ali the Agent.
Moved to a new place
'cause
during
Florida-
a pandemic. Yeah.
Nothing happened in Florida. They didn't realize COVID was going on.
No, we
Zero.
did COVID down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like stopped wearing masks so quickly down
Oh
here.
yeah.
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 So move to a new place, get into a new industry, and like in a town I don't know. So it just kind of like went all in. We had done kind of a live-in flip in Colorado before we made that move. So we had some cash to where like we didn't have to hurry. I didn't have to hurry in figuring out how I wanted to do real estate. I realized that there was a lot of ways to do it. And I was kind of taking that advantage to like I have some time on my side to figure out what fits me and how I can like fit into this industry. So started building that and came across the YouTube idea really this first in September of 2020. Started the channel in January 2021. And from the time like I published the first video, like the next day, like I just knew it was gonna work. Like
Wow.
strangers were watching the videos. Like how are strangers finding these videos? Like and we'll get into like how you get strangers to see your videos, but I just like knew so quickly like, oh, this is gonna work.
Dude, there's so many things in that. First of all, you had money and you had time. And I think that's really cool that you like allowed yourself the grace to figure it out. Cause there's like two opposite ends of the spectrum. There's like the people who like can't chill the out and like have to go, probably like the alleys of the world. And then there's like the other side, which is probably like my brother, where it's like, oh, which I shouldn't say that, but that's fine. It's like, oh, I got time and money. Like, let's just live our best life. Let's just chill, party, do nothing.
Yeah, I definitely just like saw that as an advantage. I'm like, I have this advantage right now. I don't have to like be desperate. I don't have to hurry. Yeah, but then I did the basic things. I was hosting open houses. I bought some Zillow leads. I'm like, I'm gonna try a little bit of everything, right? And see because I'm willing to do the parts I don't like to make the money, but I just
Right.
don't know what the options
What you
are
don't
yet.
like. Yeah.
And I don't know what I don't like. Yeah.
How did YouTube come into play? Where'd that idea come from?
Yeah, so I was listening to a Joshua Smith podcast, GSD mode, and he had some guys on there, and it's an agent focused podcast, some guys on there in Denver, Will Grimes and Eli Schmidt, and they were started talking about their YouTube channel that they had been doing for about 3 months, and they were getting 2 to 3 leads a day from it. So
Nice.
immediately I reach out to them on Instagram because that's what people do. And I'm like, hey, super encouraged by this. Like, and just ask them like tactical questions, even like, hey, can I just copy you? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and they kind of just offered any help they could. At that time, I was with a small broker in the area, and I came back to Will and Eli like 4 or 5 months later. I was like, okay, can you help me build a couple systems? Like, how do you guys do this? I have leads from this, and they're like, oh, you did it. Like, you actually
Yeah,
started making the videos, and
that's
like,
the
cool. Like,
key.
and they're like,
Yeah.
hey, you should join our downline. It wasn't even like that question until they had added quite a bit of value. And so it just felt like supernatural. Not supernatural, but extremely natural.
Wow. And I went over your stats so people know that it's working. I want to go into that feeling. Shelby hates feelings, but I love feelings. How okay, you mentioned I just knew that this was going to work. After your first video, dude, how?
Yeah,
Like was
that's
it a
so weird.
metric that you saw? Was it an actual feeling or was it like the metrics that you saw?
It was a little bit of both for sure. I mean, first of all, I had been a ghost on social media, and I had done some stuff behind the camera, never in front of the camera. But I'm like, okay, I did these specific things so strangers would see these videos. I didn't tell friends or family I did this. So
Mm,
it's not my mom watching the video. It's
yeah.
literal people that are thinking about moving to Tampa. Like, okay, if I just started and 4 people watched, okay, if I keep going, I can get thousands of people to watch.
Okay, totally makes sense. So, and you just gave us like a little clue. So, what was your channel about? Because if you're just talking about yourself, people probably aren't going to watch it. But like, what was the premise of your channel? Is
The channel is called Living in Tampa, and it's really about living and moving to Tampa. And I kind of also kind of steered into an advantage I thought I had was I know what it's like to move here, and I'm discovering this area, and I'm still gonna point out like how weird things are or like this really negative thing that locals are like defensive about. Like I'm still gonna have your posture when I'm looking at this area. So that was a big like story that kind of was woven through it. But it was like cost of living, pros and cons, reasons not to move to Tampa, like things like that. Very SEO, like search engine optimized, targeted titles. And that's the tool we'll get into later is like how to find those titles.
Yeah. So you mentioned when you reached out to those YouTubers originally before you started your
Yeah.
channel, you asked if you could pretty much like R&D, rip off and duplicate their videos.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
their answer to that? And if people ask you that, what's your answer?
Their answer was absolutely like, let us know how we can help.
Mm, yeah.
And I didn't know how they could help. I had no idea how they could help.
Yeah.
And people ask me all the time too, like, can I do it? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
And now I'm at a point where it's like, hey, if you really want my help, like you should join my downline because that's where my
Yeah.
attention is gonna go.
Right.
But there's like it's not that complicated. But and just like anything, it's not that complicated, but it's still hard, right?
I found the same thing where like so many people that create videos, they're so open to having other people literally just say word for word. Like I've had people ask me too, like, "Hey, can I make a video similar to yours? Like I promise I won't say word for word." I was like, "Dude, say word for word." Like
yeah,
I don't care. Like it's already out there. It's, there's no copyright on that shit, It's just take it. It's like information that we're posting out there for the world on purpose.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of people are scared of asking that.
what percent, both of you guys? Because I look at Ali Instagram and Sam YouTube, and people, asking you guys for help. So, what percent do you think actually do anything with? If you just had to pull a percent out of your
1.
0.
zero, 1 and 0.
It's
Yeah.
low. It's really low. And I think real estate, attracts two different kinds of people. It attracts some people that just want a job, right? They want to jump on a team, they want the lead flow, they want all those things. The other kind of person I think it attracts is kind of this like shiny object person that's like likes the new idea, likes the new thing they could build or the things like that. And that's part of my struggle is that I am drawn to those things. And so even in the midst of all this, like, how do I stay focused on the shiny object I'm holding instead of, like, looking at the others and trying to build all these things at once? What do you guys think about that? Do you think that real estate attracts people like that?
I wouldn't call them shiny objects because okay, so you said two things. You said the
Yeah.
person who wants a job to be
Yeah.
employed. So in my head, I'm like, not me, you know. And
Yeah.
so then I figured I must be the other one. But I'm not sure that I would consider it shiny objects. But I do agree with you in the fact that they, I want to build something and be the 1% of the people who ask how to do it and then just do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Allie, what do you think?
In simpler, probably more harsher terms, I think there are people that are more like sheep and want to be told what to do, more like W-2 mindset. Those are God, this sounds so harsh, but I feel like those are the ones that
Say
join a
it.
team, like those are the ones that join a team. Hey, just tell me what to do, handhold me the entire way because I
Yeah.
don't yet have a mind of my own, which you can develop. And then there are those I think typically those are the ones that that think that the business is opening doors and showing pretty kitchens. And then there are those that want to build a business and want to eventually step away from that business and sell it to somebody else or just have someone else do it and build something. So yeah, that sounded probably really harsh. Probably
I don't
offended
think
some
it's that
people.
harsh.
It's okay. That's what we're about.
Yeah.
I mean,
Kind of.
people need to make money and they want a job at times. Like, that's okay too.
Yeah.
And they don't want the stress of building something.
Mm.
Okay, I want to take it back for YouTube at the beginning. So you mentioned that, living in Tampa is and it's very targeted SEO driven. People are searching for that. Was that the plan that you copied off of Josh Smith and them, living the location and exploring an area?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was Will and Eli that were they're living in Denver channel. It's like I could just go watch their videos and remake them point for point and have my own little stories inserted, and
I
it's
love
not
that.
it's not like you said rip off and duplicate, Allie, like, that is part of content creation, but the more you can insert yourself as the brand and your own stories, like, it becomes a completely different thing.
Yeah, definitely. When you mentioned your channel about because you moved to Tampa, you're exploring it. You have what I think is the perfect perspective of a realtor's opinion on Tampa. Like specifically here in Tucson, I've been meaning to make this video and it's been on way bottom of my to-do list. But the negatives of Tucson, like for one, we don't have garbage cans anywhere. And that needs to be stated. I feel like I need to tell everyone like hold on to your garbage because or it's going to be in your car forever because we do not have garbage cans. Um,
Strange.
so that goes into my question of positive versus negative videos. Which one do you see is more beneficial? Because you can say all the great things about your
Sure.
city. Should
That's
you
great.
also mention the negative?
I think you should mostly mention the negatives for a couple reasons. It plays into the algorithms better. Like, negative titles and videos get better clicks. They just do. But you can also, like, demonstrate the way you think because you're just saying, like, "Hey, like, this is a potential negative." You're not, like you don't have to gloss over it. You don't have to, like, find a way to make it sound good like a lot of realtor marketing does. But just, like, sharing the negative is sharing, like, "Hey, I'm honest, I can be trusted, and I'm gonna if I think something's bad, I'm gonna say it." And people are looking for agents like that. People that call me, they say very specific things. "We like the way you think. You moved there, so you know what it's like." Like, they say things like that. It's the stories that I tell that they actually, like, really connect with.
The boogers on your face.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
love
we
the
have boogers
boogers.
all the time too.
Uh, okay, question for the actual developing this content. Are you doing everything yourself from scripting to shooting to editing to posting, or did you I assume you started that way? What are you doing now? What does that look like?
Yeah. Don't ever say scripting. It's definitely not scripted. So, initially, that was like, "Hey, like, build an out like, do some research, build an outline for a video." And some of those are a little bit more, like, scripted if they're data heavy, if it's, like, cost of living, like, people do just wanna know, like, averages on cost of living, which is boring as but people do want it. And so it's, like, outline the videos, shoot it. I started on my iPhone, bought a little $50 mic for it, shot it in the spare bedroom of our house, and then I was editing the videos as well. I I look back and I edited videos for way too long. way too long. It's so easy to hire an editor, and it's pretty affordable. But in the beginning, when you're, like, not making any money from it, it's hard for a lot of people to make that jump.
Where, how much, all the things.
Yeah, so I had a local editor for a while that I was paying $25 an hour, and it would take him about 4 hours to do one of my videos, so about $100 a video. He wanted quite a bit more money and didn't really have any more capacity, and also, like, didn't answer the phone when I called, like, things like
Oh,
that. So I'm like, "Never mind, man." And actually, at that time, I started getting tons of cold emails, like, because of my exposure on YouTube. "Hey, let us redesign your website. Hey, let us build you a merch line. Hey, let us we edit videos." It's like and so around the time I let my editor go, I had someone reach out to me, and I'm like, they seem like a real person. And based on this email, let me just send him my Calendly link, let him set up an appointment, we'll talk." And it was, like, super easy to connect. This young girl in India, super creative, and it I've fired her once and considered firing her again. But she just needs to be led more than I wanna lead an editor, and
yeah.
Yeah.
that's okay. And as I've built some systems to make it a little easier for us to communicate and manage expectations, it works really well. So I pay her $100 a video. I'm gonna start paying her a little bit more to include creating a thumbnail and creating, like, all the upload details that go to YouTube.
And how long are these videos?
Yeah, they're
100 bucks a video
8
for how many minutes?
8 to 12 minutes.
Okay.
And so it's
Mm.
mostly me talking to the camera. I might be out and about a little bit. We have a huge library of drone footage that I've collected over the past couple years. A lot of other footage that I'll go get for a specific video if I'm out shooting. And then I can just kind of give her instructions. Even as I'm shooting the video, I might just say, include this shot right here. Or, oh yeah, go into this folder and that's where the footage is. I might say all that to the camera because when she's editing, it's really easy to kind of implement those things.
Question about how I can't say scripting. So,
Yeah.
as you guys know, I dabbled in YouTube. It was a very painful 12 weeks of my life. And I did script. I could not get on the camera. I like took a shot before my very first video. I was one of those people who was freaking out about it. And I read I wrote and read every single word. So, question when you say, no, it's not scripting, it's outline. Did you start out that way? Or is that something that you just naturally out of your head came the right words?
Yeah. I've never scripted a video. I mean, never like written down a sentence that I actually read. I might kinda
Wow.
write a couple things because I
Yeah,
think
wow.
I kinda
Yeah.
wanna say these things. Yeah, but in the 205 videos that I published, most of them can fit on a Post-it note, the information that I need to write down, and I'm gonna fill it in with stories.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel so I've tried that. And I just end up rambling and not getting to the point, like I feel like my script gets me to the point. Otherwise, I will just carry on somewhere else.
Yeah,
How
but
how do
some
you
of
stay
that's
on
just, like,
topic?
tactics. It's like, okay, let yourself ramble for every other point, and, like, some of that is just, like, finding what you need to kinda set boundaries, and I do this with some agents that I coach with this too. I'm like, "That's too many stories." Like, you introduced 10 characters in that video, tell one client couple and, like, use their story through the whole video instead
Mm,
of telling a
That makes
story
sense.
for every single point when you have 10 points in a video. It's just too confusing for people.
yeah.
Did you learn that through coaching or through your own self reflection on your videos? What did that look like?
Yes, I have a good friend that's a filmmaker and actor, which mostly means he's mostly unemployed. So he has time to give me feedback
Nice.
all the time. He's one
Cool.
of those friends that I'm always just trying to include him in something I'm building because he's just like the right person. I'm like,
Yes.
I just want you here. Just move here and we'll
Yep.
build stuff. So he's that guy for me. And so I just send him all my videos. Well, send him the YouTube link. I would go ahead and publish them and like, hey, give me feedback. I just need to get 1% better every time. And he would just like give me very specific things of like, hey, go back to that whole sentence and say the whole sentence again instead of just saying that word again because it feels a little choppy. Or
Yeah.
like you introduced too many characters. It got confusing. Like he gave me all that feedback like a performance perspective. When you're making YouTube videos for real estate clients, you're playing so many games at once. You're playing the YouTube game, which is clicks, views, comments, but then you also have like a really intense call to action in there, asking for people to call you, saying, "I actually want to hear from you." And then you're playing the game of converting those views into clients. and then the game of closing those clients and transactions. So you're having to do a lot of things at once. You can't just be the agent that closes all the deals and just hop on YouTube and say that. Like people don't care about that.
Yeah. So, okay, I find that when I'm doing my I don't even know what other word to use aside from scripts because I have to read. And side note, I actually got to the point where I was like, let me stop. What I do now is I write a script and I literally read it. Even though my face isn't looking at it, I now use a tool where it
Oh
literally
my
creates
God, no
fake
way.
eyes. Dude, look at my videos. It's not my real eyes, dude. I'm reading.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah. Because I was like, this, let me try. I can't remember what I'm going to say. So,
Right.
anyway.
Dude, there's a teleprompter app that actually works really well.
Yes.
You
And
can
for
look
some
at it
reason,
and
it stopped working. So I think I just need to delete it and then re-download.
okay.
But
Sorry.
anyway, yeah.
Not to distract. Go back. Go back.
So I write my script, right? And then if it's going to be a longer video, which I haven't done in like a couple of weeks, then I need to get like the B-roll, like the images of Tucson, or sometimes I have photos, sometimes I have videos. When I also have a VA. When I send the entire script to the VA, and in like parentheses I put include video number 1, video number 2, video number 3. That's time consuming. So I want to get to processes. How do you do that with your VA? How is that there has to be an easier process.
Yo, real quick, this podcast is not free. Cost of admission is sharing with a buddy who'd benefit or throwing it on your Instagram story. Tag us. We'll reshare that.
First of all, you need to stop scripting. You don't read from a script when you go on a date or when you talk to a client. Like people want that like natural flow of like you're looking away and thinking and all those things I leave on camera because it's super natural. It's like very like clear, like, oh, this person is a real person.
Like, I don't want to be real. She's like, I don't want to be real.
Shelby, do you think I sound real though?
You do. And
I feel
I
like
hate that you're so good at reading a script, but you need to get away from it.
I don't know. We'll think on this. We'll soak.
Yeah.
But dude, what I've done doing lately, literally almost exclusively because of Sam's feedback, is I've been doing one shot and just sending it. And
they're good. And you
thanks,
have like
coach.
these like natural mannerisms with them where you're like closing the door and you're sitting down, or you're like all those kind of things are really good and engaging.
Okay, Ali, now that Sam has boosted my ego to the point where I have to tell you that you can't read scripts anymore.
Shelby, did you even know that I was reading a script?
No, I didn't.
You guys thought
you look great. Yeah. I don't know. We'll all sit on this and we'll come back.
I'm gonna comment on all your videos, Ali. Say those aren't her real eyes.
Say, guys,
those are fake eyes. And you can tell, dude, because my eyes are so naturally like so small, and the AI like makes mine bigger. I'm like, dude, my eyes look huge. But anyway, so you can find me on Instagram, Ali the Agent. So, okay, going back to like the process, how do you make this as streamlined as you can?
Sure. I there's so much of it is ideas for videos. So the idea generation, like kind of writing an outline for it and then shooting it. So I kind of compartmentalize those of like I might just I always sit down and write ideas. 8 to 10 ideas. Okay, these are my videos for the week. Then I can just like block off time to go shoot them. Before that though, I'm blocking off time to kind of work on the idea a little bit. Now, and that might just be 30 minutes and I can work on all 8 of those. I can make sure if I'm going to mention a population number that I know it, like some of those kind of things. And also I've just like built this encyclopedic knowledge of the area by making so many videos. Then I just go shoot them and if I'm shooting one video, I can shoot 3 videos. I just know I can. And so that's always kind of what I push. And then if I shoot 3 videos every other week, I'm always 1 video ahead. And life comes up, right? So it just creates a little bit of margin there.
Interesting.
Then with the editor, everything goes into Dropbox. We have a bunch of shared stuff on Dropbox. We have almost 2 terabytes of drone footage in there. That's all categorized by town and all kinds of stuff. Then I upload that for her, and they're just kind of in a priority list. She then uses a Dropbox program called Dropbox Replay. Another one that a lot of editors use is called Frame.io. And what that does is like she's like sends me the link to that. I click on it, and then I can watch through the video and leave notes that are like time code specific of like, oh, you spelled this wrong, or add this shot right here, or things like that. So me reviewing a video is going to take about 10 minutes and I'm going to give her like specific shots to use. Like use this shot, DJI 0049 for right here, like things like that.
Before you mentioned that you were playing multiple games, the YouTube game, the client game, all that stuff. I am curious about your calls to action. What are your typical calls to action? How frequently do you do them, etc.?
Yeah, so 2 calls to action in every video. And the thing is, guys know this with every kind of marketing, like people won't call unless you tell them to, especially on a video.
Which
They
is
think,
hard to do. Everyone is like, I don't want to tell them. Like, even me, like, I say that too. I'm like, I don't want to tell them, but then I know, and you're telling me again. But go on.
but you can make it even different. So like I adjust my call to action occasionally, but really it's like thanks for coming by the Living in Tampa channel where we make these videos for you about what it's like to live and move to Tampa. We're also a team of realtors here and we would love to hear from you. We hear from people all over the world and it's super exciting. We'd love to just, you know, the number's there, call, text or email anytime. We can hop on a Zoom call. We can help you process your move and see how we can best help. So it's kind of like that, and then at the end, kind of the same thing. Just like, just remember, we wanna hear from you. We actually do. So, some of it's more about us, and I think that kinda would help people to have more of a call to action to say, "I want to hear from you," instead of like, "You should call."
Yeah, I think that's good. Because that is true too. Like, I do want
Yeah,
to hear
yeah,
from people.
yeah,
I want to hear what they think. I want, either feedback or their opinions or their perspectives or to know if there's any way that I can help. So I do love that actually. It's
yeah,
great.
I want to go into cost. How much are you
sure.
spending and on what?
Well, if looking back, I would spend less money on, like, cameras and stuff like that, but I like gadgets.
Yeah.
I
You look
usually am shoot
crystal clear, so it looks
Yeah,
great.
you
yeah, I'm
look
usually
great.
shooting on, like, a
Yeah.
$5,000 camera rig. But a lot of people that have these channels shoot on GoPros or their iPhones, like, that's plenty. Then so, basic camera, like, cloud storage stuff, like, none of it's that expensive. I mean, really, my editor is the biggest reoccurring expense, $100 a video, so $800 a month, and, like, that's just pretty much it.
And going into editors and training editors,
Yeah,
what
it's
are like the
hard.
biggest lessons learned that you've had with working with people to edit?
Yeah. The biggest lesson with for an ed like, when you're working with an editor is, like, the editor is better at editing than you are. Like, somebody that doesn't have to think about running a business, doesn't have to think about helping clients, they can just focus on editing. Even if they're not as good of an editor, they're gonna do better at editing than me, because they've got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So, like, I just wasted so much time editing my own videos when I could have just figured it out with an editor and forced myself to overcome some of those obstacles of, like, "Hey, I expected this earlier. Like, let's figure out how we can get ahead on this." Like, some of it is the fear of like leading someone else or like being the boss with a contractor. And some of that is just like confidence that people need to build too. It's not just going to come from nothing. You have to do it.
Right.
All
So
of it.
there's like so there's editing and then there's also posting, which is its
Yeah,
own and a half. How do you post or do you pay someone else to post?
sure. I do it. So with YouTube, you have a lot of upload defaults. So a lot of that is like built in. So I'm really just uploading the video, I'm putting in the title, I'm putting in the thumbnail. And at times YouTube changes quite a bit, just like other platforms. Like it does automatic chapters now. It used to not do automatic chapters. But there's also part of that YouTube game is how you set up your description. If you do chapters in there, it's more likely to be recommended in a Google search and not only a YouTube search. So all those things that you have to learn about the platforms. So like a lot of people would search like pros and cons of living in Tampa on Google first and not even
Yeah.
go to YouTube. For
Yeah.
YouTube to recommend your video on the Google search, it has to have chapters because it wants to show like those highlights of the video. Like we've all seen that in a Google search where it shows like you can jump straight to a chapter and like
Okay.
you have to play that game.
Can we define chapter? Is chapter a timestamp? Is that what we're talking
Yeah,
about the
so it's
same
a
thing?
timestamp in the description. That's how YouTube does it. So you have to just like
Okay.
you put in like the time code starting with 00:00
Yeah.
and intro and then like the next few. It doesn't
I
have to be
actually
a whole lot.
Yeah, okay, okay. Oh my god, so many questions. I actually saw on Spotify that it now Spotify has little like chapters or, timestamps.
Yeah, yeah.
One, they do it automatically now?
I don't know if Spotify does, like, through Anchor or something.
Okay. Oh, I meant YouTube. YouTube does that
Oh,
automatically?
YouTube does it automatically, but if you do them yourself, it's more SEO friendly.
Mm. And
Yeah.
are more or fewer chapters good?
It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
I mean, if it's 2, then you would just question, is it actually helpful, right? So, like, what's doable and helpful at the same time?
How long does it take you to do your titles and like keyword description, all of that stuff?
When I'm uploading a video,
Yeah.
probably 5 minutes.
Jesus.
Whoa.
Dude, I used to on my 12
Whoa.
weeks of I would spend an hour
The
playing
work is
around.
done before, though, when you plan the videos for the month.
Okay, so you have
'Cause
your
you
title already before you shoot before okay.
Yeah, so I use a tool called TubeBuddy for that, and it's a Chrome plugin where you're using a keyword explorer, and you're, like, testing out different keywords. It gives you all kinds of, like, search volume data based on that. It shows you, like, how well the other videos are optimized for SEO, and shows you, after you've done quite a few videos, your chance of ranking in that search. So, using that to, like, plan out topics and titles, 'cause you just need the title, and the video doesn't have to deliver every bit of the title, right? It just needs to say the title is "The Worst Thing About Living in Tampa in 2023." The title doesn't have to it could be, I could talk about a couple things, like, my flood insurance just went up just doubled, and I could just talk about, like, there are dynamics you have to deal with, like, it doesn't have to be so specific to the title, you just have to deliver on the title a little bit.
Dang. Okay. Going into using a VPN, I know you're the one that posts, so you're obviously in the States and your reach, I'm sure, is your target audience. For those that are using virtual assistants to post, like perhaps myself, my virtual assistant is out in the Philippines, and I realized that now I have higher Philippine viewers, which totally fine, but doesn't really translate to commissions. How do you know what the suggested workaround is with using like a VPN? Or should I just be the one that's posting again?
I mean, there's other ways to do that. You could use some kind of, like, app service that, like, schedules the posts, and I know a lot of Filipino VAs are used to that kinda thing, and I think if your account is based here,
Hmm.
then it would
Workaround.
kinda work
Fun.
around that.
Oh, so I can
Does that
create
make
an
sense?
account. Okay, yeah. So like Canva, does Canva does what kind of
Canva
apps would do
might
that?
You should ask your VA, 'cause I've interviewed a few of them, and they, like, mention they, like, know the apps that do that kinda stuff.
Okay, question about okay, so you're posting these videos and you're optimizing for YouTube, but you're also getting clients from it. Can you talk about what that like lead capture process looks like and what systems that you've built to make sure that you funnel them into the right area and follow up and all the things?
So, after my first year of working with these clients, I decided to just bring on a buyer's agent and work a lot less. 'Cause my second child was born, and I'm like, I just don't care. Like, I'll make less money if I have to, whatever.
Yeah.
The thing is, I made double the money, but yeah, it was a different thing. But in the midst of that, the systems are super important. So we use like a internet phone number. We use CallRail. There's Twilio, Grasshopper, Google Voice. There's all kinds of systems like that. All those integrate into CRMs really easily. So somebody calls or texts our YouTube number, it goes right into the CRM, comes right to my phone. I respond, the team sees it, everything. Then the immediate goal is to convert them into a Zoom call. So that first Zoom call, 20, 30 minutes, it's initially like, hey, what high level questions do you have? And then how can I help you get focused in on either a specific kind of property or a specific area? Then let's set up a home search, and we'll, stay in touch month by month. A lot of these leads are, 6 to 9 months out as well. They're thinking about moving across the country. They're not just thinking about like moving across town. So then as they get a little bit closer, we hop on another call and go through like the whole buyer process. So what the market's like down here, how we will work with you, how we will like how what we're currently doing to get clients under contract. We'll go through all those kind of things. That's more like 45 minutes. Just like a full buyer presentation. a lot of that is to kind of just lead the process too, right? To not just like let them be in control and like actually just lead them. You're delivering them what they asked for. The house, in the budget, in the timeline. Like that's all they really want. Like if you're just proving, "Hey, we can do this. We're going to take great care of you." They'll follow the process. They don't care.
The Zoom calls, your buyer's agent, who does the initial Zoom and then also the follow-up?
So with that year where I worked less, my buyer's agent did a lot of those. And I've taken that back over, and it makes a big impact whenever they can talk to me. And this feels kind of funny, but sometimes they've watched 100 of my videos
Yeah. They want you.
on their TV. They're like they feel like they know me, they feel like they're fans. Usually if it's a husband and wife too, they kind of like, yeah, like she watches all your videos, like something like that. Or I was on a Zoom call with a client the other day, and it was my second call I'd had with them. They just had a few questions, so we hopped on a call, and it was the first Zoom call I'd had. The first one was a phone call, and Greg was like, "Look, it's Sam." He's like, "I've been telling you so much about it." And she just like didn't care at all. And I'm like, I think her name was Amanda. Like, Amanda, what's up? Like, you're not into this right now? 5 minutes later, she went into labor. She was having a baby.
Oh my.
Like
She
on
did
the
not
call, he's
care
like,
about you.
we gotta go. So like he was super excited, and then like that thing happened. And they're like clients for life now.
Oh my
Wow.
God. What a good shared experience.
Yeah.
Have you considered doing a group Zoom call where it's like you, the client, and the buyer's agent?
Yeah, I have. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh, why?
Because whenever it gets handed over to the buyer's agent, I want the client to feel like the buyer's agent is in charge now. And that doing a group call feels kinda like something a team leader would do to just kinda control the process, and I'm like, when I hand you over to my buyer's agent, I want you to know that I really trust them to take care of you. If they need help, they're gonna contact me. If you need help, you're gonna contact me, but clients never come back to me.
Okay, so you do the initial Zoom call
Yeah.
and then you get like a
And
lot
then
of the information and then you say,
yeah,
here's the
we're kinda
buyer's agent.
split on who does the buyer presentation, so sometimes I do it, sometimes one of my buyer's agents does it, my more experienced buyer's agent. And some of it just depends on the client too. Like it might be like on my birthday, somebody scheduled a call in the morning. I was out with somebody and I'm like, "Hey, Ben, can you call this guy?" It was a Thursday. We called him, got everything set up. He was going to be in town that weekend. So he just went out and showed him a couple things, got him under contract. I never talked to
Nice.
him.
Nice.
So I called him and left him a voicemail. Super excited for you guys. Like, I'm here if you need anything. This is my personal cell. Would love to hear from you guys. Let me know if you need anything. But never heard from him. They close in a couple weeks. Like, so sometimes the process skips around me, and I'm okay with that too.
Yeah. But if you're the one doing the Zoom call, you're the one working the clients to the end.
No, no, no. No, I still hand most of them off.
And then are you doing
Interesting.
referrals? So these people, like
Yeah.
the buyer's agent is in
Yeah, it's a
your
50/50
downline, but
referral.
he's a fifty
Yeah.
fifty referral. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Do you also provide the back end, like the contract to close support, or is it on them?
A little bit. I mean, I've built a lot of those relationships for us. And so we just use like a TC company down here that we like. And
Gotcha.
we typically charge the buyer for that too.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Because I'd rather charge them for a couple things like that than charge them additional commission to get it up to 3%.
Got it. Okay.
I feel like Ali, both of us are like dead faced half the time in this episode because we're just like processing.
We're thinking. These are thinking faces.
Our thinking faces are not cute.
Okay. Do not watch us on YouTube. Please
For real.
listen to this on Spotify.
Oh my God.
Okay.
The podcast app that I use like speeds up the pauses. So then when I listen on like Spotify, I'm like, why are they not talking?
Ooh, what app is that? Tell
Oh,
us.
yeah. What
It's
is that?
called Overcast.
Overcast.
I never
It's the
heard of that
best.
one.
Perfect.
Okay.
We love all the apps. We want all the apps.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
For
Especially
sure.
when
But it's
it's
a lot
like
of work to
AI.
move to a new podcast app.
Oh, true.
I bet.
Yeah.
So
Well,
make the right choice the first time.
It's worth
yeah.
it though.
So there are a couple things that I thought you said that were really cool. You just threw in at one point, you were like 1% better each time when you were talking about your friends watching the videos. And I think that that's something that a lot of people struggle with. and including myself. It's like, of course, we want to be perfect right now. We don't have the patience. So I thought that that was a really cool framework of looking at YouTube. And then the other thing that kind of correlates with like that adjusted mindset is that you mentioned that on like your first video, like 4 people were watching and you were cool with that. You were
Yeah,
like,
I
oh
was
my
so
God, that's
excited.
4 people I didn't have, 4 people that might want to buy from me. Whereas most people are like, why do I not have 10,000 subs right now?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool, dude. And have you always thought like that, or where did that come from?
Real quick, if you're listening to this on Apple, Apple does not make it easy to leave us a rating, so I'm gonna break this down for you. In the search tab, type in the Be More Show for Agents. Click on the thumbnail, then click that middle tab that says Reviews and click Write a Review. Tap on those 5 stars, of course. Let us know how awesome this show is and how it's helped you. And if that's too much for you, I understand, and just switch to Spotify already. Thank you so much, and back to the show.
I mean, a little bit. Shelby, you and I have talked about this. I was a competitive gymnast as a kid. I remember this experience. I was in class 6, so men's gymnastics, the numbers go backwards. And so I was class 6, about to move up to class 5. And my coach was like, "Hey," this is a new coach that I didn't really like. He was like, "Hey, you can't go ahead yet. You're not ready." And I was like so sad. I was 9. I was at the gym 4 or 5 hours a day. I was like ready. I thought I was. He was like, "You're not ready. It's fine. Let's do this again." So I did class 6 again and won state and got gold in 5 out of 6 events and silver in the other and won all around. And then uh, gymnasts from other gyms came up to me afterward and they're like, "We're coming to your gym next year." Like, things like that. It's like small town gym. I even look back to that, like, no, it just takes time. Like, everything just takes time, and that's okay. It's not bad that it takes time. YouTube
Yeah.
takes time, and, like, now I have this body of work on YouTube. People can see, "Oh, he started this when he moved, and that's the story he was telling." Quality of the stories got better. The quality of the video got better. Like, doing all of that in public actually earns a lot of trust, not just from clients, from agents that wanna learn from me, from you 2, like, all of that, like, it's
Yeah.
a body of work that's there now. That first video that got 4 views probably now has 60,000 views,
I'm gonna go watch it after
and
this.
I will never go back and watch it.
Huh.
Yeah. Dude, I do love
Well,
that. And that's one of the things that we talk about too, where it's like normally people who are like suddenly successful, overnight successes have like years of experience in something that shaped them into the person that they are in
Yeah,
order to be that quote unquote quick success.
yeah, and I
So,
think my success with YouTube happened faster than a lot of people's. Some of that I
yeah,
think is
for sure.
lucky because I had the advantage of not having to rush to make money. I had the advantage of, like, finding a story, having some feedback from people that, like, had experience being on camera, things like that, and I don't know, some of it was just a hot market, but it was a hard market to be a new agent in, that's for sure.
especially a buyer's agent. That's,
Yeah,
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 yeah. Okay, you've mentioned TubeBuddy, and I wanna do like
yeah,
a little bit of a deep dive into TubeBuddy. I'm assuming that you pay for the paid version, which is a whole $3 a month, right? I think that's what it is. Yeah. How do you use it? Like keywords and like all of that.
potential titles. Moving to Tampa in 2023. What kinda score does that get? Moving to Tampa, Florida in 2023. Well, okay, that's not as good. Let's take off 2023. Like, you could do all these kinda things, and what it's telling you is there enough search volume? Can you rank based on and that's based on, like, how well everyone else is optimized for like, SEO. So, then when you're actually publishing a video, you can use something called their SEO Studio, which I did a lot at first. I don't do as much anymore because I kind of know the principles of it. Having your title, so you're always going after a couple different keywords. Always high level, I'm going after Tampa, Florida. I'm gonna say living in Tampa, Florida in the title. I'm gonna have that in the first line of the description. I'm gonna have that tag in there. And just those couple things just play into the game a little bit more because you have to play that game for views before you can even have a call to action and convert people into clients.
Yeah. And TubeBuddy gives you like an actual number score out of 100.
Yeah,
Do you have a minimum base that you're looking for? And is it under the weighted or unweighted? And what's the
sure.
difference between those two?
Yeah, so weighted takes your channel into account. So it's like, how well will you actually rank? Not and unweighted is just like what's the broad potential. And unweighted is what you are at first until you've published a few months of videos, until you've gotten some things to rank. And you play the game to get them to rank, and then you figure out how to do it a little bit better. The highest level of TubeBuddy also like allows you to split test thumbnails, so you can upload two thumbnails, and it will you just kind of put out both and see what the click through rate is on them. So the click through rate is based on how many people saw it, based on how many impressions, how many people clicked it. So like a 5, if it's a really like targeted video of like the market's crashing, it's going to get a really high click through rate in the beginning, like 8 to 10%, and then it's going to drop off really fast. If it's a longer tail video like pros and cons of living somewhere, you're going to end up right around 5% in the long run, and that's great.
Hmm. Any
But once
other
that starts to drop off, you could swap out the thumbnail, you could swap out the title. There's so many things to keep those videos like resurging. And sometimes an old video will just pop and you don't really know why. And then YouTube's like, hey, we're going to promote this video to a broader audience because your people seem to really like it. And you just kind of ride the wave when you can.
dang. Any other way that you use TubeBuddy?
No, it's really the Keyword Explorer and SEO Studio are the main ways. There's all kinds of ways where you can like save titles in there. But you really just need to jump into it, once a month to plan your videos for the month, and then run the checks really quick as you're uploading.
What would be if someone was wanted to get YouTube as their lead gen source? Like, what would be the biggest piece that you would want to manage for their expectations?
Yeah, it's great. It's just gonna take longer than you think because the first leads are gonna be renters. The next leads are gonna be first-time buyers with FHA pre-approvals they can't really afford. The next buyers are gonna be, yeah, maybe selling a house and moving, but their job down here is kind of uncertain, and then you're just kinda, like, leveling up every single time, and eventually to where it's like, hey, just some random guy, like, goes onto my website and schedules a call and says he wants to spend 2,000,000 plus. Like, that's the call I have after this.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a
Woo!
like,
Yeah.
I think he watched the videos, he coulda just gone to the website, I don't know, but, like, now, it just takes so long to get there, and in different markets, it also takes a different amount of, like, credibility on YouTube. So subscribers is such a vanity metric because, like, the guys that are above me in my upline are in Denver, they have less subscribers than me, they have less views than me. I closed 25 deals last year, they closed 140 just from
Damn.
YouTube. So,
Hmm.
there's, all those soft skills are a big part of that, of, like, actually closing those people, being good at real estate, but then all of those,
That
like,
part. Oh.
market-specific things, yeah, that part.
Yeah.
You have to get 1% better at that part every time too.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
but, like, that market, like, so 10,000 subscribers in Colorado, which is not a very big market overall. They have Denver. Florida, we have Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Fort Myers, Jacksonville, Panhandle area, like, all those are, like, comparable sized markets to Denver, right?
I love what you said about the vanity metrics because I
Yeah,
think that so many people, including myself, like it's so easy to look at the views or the likes or the comments and just be like, hanging on to them. But the reverse thought, which I'm trying to ingrain into myself, is like focusing on the inputs instead of the outputs and like doing the work consistently and making the adjustment that you need to and not paying attention as much to the vanity metrics. So I love that you said that.
so much of that is just a metric of ownership too, like, how much are you okay with, like, your input and not concerned about the outcome? I think about this with
Yeah.
my kids all the
Yes.
time, so my
Yes.
daughter's almost 5, my son's 1, we got a 3rd kid on the way, and I'm always thinking, like, all we can control is inputs. All we can control is how we react to things, what we say, what we do, what we the behaviors that we model. We can't really control the outcomes. Like, why am I surprised that it's taking my 5-year-old, like, years to brush her teeth? Like, most adults don't like to brush their teeth. Like, what are we talking about? Like, this is ridiculous to have these kind of expectations, and I think we just do that to ourselves too. We're so focused on the outcome, but really all we can control is the input.
Yeah. I so okay. Recently, well, not recently, I don't know how long it's been around, but YouTube Shorts have become a thing. I feel like, platforms just copy each other and then kind of I'm also seeing end up reverting back to what their original platform was. Anyway, because like now Instagram is like back to photos and back to like still photos instead of reels. Anyway, shorts versus YouTube longs. Are you focusing effort, or how much effort are you focusing on to into shorts, and how are you making that happen?
I'm focusing 0 effort on shorts because when someone's thinking about moving across the country, they don't want an influencer. They want a real person that's giving them valuable information, and it's so hard to deliver that in short form
Yeah. Do you
because
end up chopping up your long into shorts at all, or
no,
do you don't even post shorts at all?
I did this test last summer where I did a short every day, and I shot them as shorts. So I'm gonna deliver the content in a short form video, and I did one every day for 30 days. They drove a lot more traffic and views, but they didn't drive any extra leads. So, they're on YouTube, if you're wanting people to get to your long form, then shorts could serve as, like, a potential, like, organic marketing to get more views, to target new audience for your long form stuff. But if people are thinking about buying a house, I think they're going long form first,
That makes sense. That
un
makes sense.
unless they connect with you in some other, like, deeper way, and they can see that through short form. To I'm just a stranger to them, though. So, I'm always going into, like, what I'm, like how I'm communicating stuff because I wanna demonstrate a few different things. I wanna demonstrate that I can be trusted. I wanna demonstrate that I have my client's best interest in mind, and I wanna demonstrate that we close deals. And
Yeah.
I do this through telling stories, by telling client stories, by telling stories about my family, by telling stories about being from a small town. So, it's just not enough time in short form to make all of that impression.
Yeah. Dude, this has been so, so great. I love like diving deep, like literally like what button should I click and where? My last question.
Am I inadvertently, like, bashing what you're doing, Allie?
No.
No, I don't think
Okay,
so.
Dude,
We're pretty much aligning.
she's got thick skin. She is good, right?
okay.
She's
I
like,
didn't
no, I
realize that you
cry
were
after
bashing.
every
I didn't
episode.
realize.
He's like, "These aren't my real eyes. You can't
If
tell
you
I'm
were
crying."
I'm not even actually here sitting in this podcast. Like it's AI. Okay. I want to talk about hash or the tags really quick. How
Yeah,
important are they on YouTube?
0.
And which tags are you using? Are how many? All the things.
Importance is, like, 1%. So, I've done tests
Gotcha.
too where it's like, "Okay, I'm not gonna use any tags for a month." And some of those videos have, like, popped off. So,
Mhm.
it's one of the things you can control, so control it, but you just can't control, like, what it actually does. Those kind of things are a lot different than on YouTube.
Yeah, I've heard that like as long as the first 10 seconds audio of the video matches the title and matches the first tag, like that's when like, SEO will do its thing. Any thoughts on that?
Whenever I started my YouTube channel, I felt like there were, like, 20 competitors. Now in my market, now I feel like there's 50 competitors in my market, but I'm, like, in the top 3. And mostly I'm in the top 3 because I haven't stopped, and I've just gotten a little bit better every time. So I think people are looking for these kind of things that are shortcuts or, like, guarantees that something's gonna get a view. Like, just the only guarantee is the inputs, and, like, are you actually getting better? Are you actually, like, honest about, like, seeking awareness? Like, asking other people, "Is this good? What do you think of it? How could it have been better?" And then, like, being honest with yourself of, like, "Am I willing to do what it takes to make this better, or am I not?"
Yeah.
'Cause it's
Yeah.
okay if you're not.
I love that. Okay, question. I know Allie could literally ask you so many more questions. She could be on this for 3 hours.
We're typing back
I
and
want to
forth.
fast forward. She's like, one more question, damn it.
Like
I'm like,
one more
fine,
shot I have to
okay.
ask about the tags. All right, we'll take this. We'll take this
I,
another direction.
I want to ask about life.
Sure.
So, what does your next 12 months to what, 3 years, 5 years, maybe 50 years, wherever you
Yeah.
want to take this, open? What does it look like?
Yeah. I'm at a place right now where I could make, 400,000 this year and work 25 hours a week. But I kinda wanna work more, and I kinda wanna reach for more, and I kinda wanna build this thing to 100%, and that's kind of a struggle for me. I like to build things to about 70% and then hand them over to somebody else and go build something else. That's just
The
been my
shiny object.
personality. my whole life. Yeah.
So you
Even
kind
if
of
it's
want
not
to
a shiny
be
object.
more.
Yeah. Just be more.
Oh
Just
my
I like
one
it.
God.
thing. So right
I
now
had
I've
to, it was
been
right there.
cutting some things.
I know.
So even just like trying on social media, like I'm just not going to try as much there, and I'm going to really focus on YouTube. I'm going to focus on how do I get capture as many clients and convert as many clients through YouTube and build up a few other buyers agents. And some of that is challenging because there's not really an example of it. And that's Shelby. One reason I like to hear so much about 5 pillars is because there's parts of it that are examples of what I want to build. And then a traditional team has some examples of what I want to build, but it just doesn't feel like me. And so I'm trying to like find this thing that I actually want to build.
No, that makes sense. You're assessing, you're pulling, you're
Yeah.
interviewing a bunch of people, you're collecting data. So that way, through all the data, you can sift through and build this piece of whatever it is that you're looking for, but you're not quite sure yet.
Yeah. But I probably want less than some people, and that's okay too. Like I don't need things like a lot of people. We live a very simple life. We homeschool our kids. Like we're moving to a new house that has like an acre and a big farm so that we can like have the kind of freedom that we want and have the kind of home life that we want. But there's a tweet I saw not too long ago that was like, the main reason I want you money is so that I can cook my kids breakfast every morning.
I
Like,
love that.
and I connect with that so much. I want like slow time with my kids, not just like, hey, ride with me somewhere or just watch your iPad over here. Like,
Dude,
I just,
so true. Because I messaged you the other day, at like 6 a.m. in all caps, because that's how I prefer to communicate my excitement. And you literally replied with like a picture of you and your child being like, yo, like we're in chill time now, Shelby. This is
calm down.
calm down. So
So yeah, it's
Dude,
more that overall lifestyle, this kind of analysis of like, what do I want? And that's hard to figure out when it feels like there's opportunities everywhere.
mhm,
Like you have to turn down opportunities at some point, and the opportunities just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
totally.
yeah.
So whenever I got into real estate, it was like, I just want to invest. That's why I'm doing this. I'm just going to replace my income. Since then, I've had so many clients that were like, you want to invest? I'll be your partner. Here, I've got
Mm.
this many million in cash. Like, let's do stuff. And now I'm at a point, I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I just want to keep building this one thing.
Dang. Okay. Every guest that we ask to be on this podcast, we ask them to bring a golden nugget, which is going to be provided out of the goodness of your heart for free to the audience, which the audience can
Yeah.
find that at theagentgoldmine.com. What did you bring and how is it going to be helpful for others in regard to YouTube?
Yeah. So Tube Buddy's the first thing. So disclosure, this is my referral link. I get paid a fraction of what you pay.
Get that money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tube Buddy's just a tool that
A
is
fraction
so
of
usable.
$3. I wonder how much that is.
Yeah.
How much is that?
I
Like 25
12
cents?
cents.
Well, you guys have such a huge audience. It could just grow, you know?
That's true.
I'm sorry. I'm just lashing back at you.
I didn't realize we were doing any
See,
flashing. Go
Allie's
ahead.
like
Okay, what is-
literally not fighting anyone. She's like, peace. And Sam's like just trying to come at her. Oh,
So,
sorry, go on.
Tube Buddy's the main tool that people need to use to get started. I'm also going to provide a PDF that's just like the 20 first titles you should do. Fill in the blank with your city, with your area, and just kind of some basic, like a couple paragraphs of the philosophy behind these titles. And one of those big philosophies is just going a little bit further upstream. So realtors often want to make the best gated neighborhood. No, like talk about that entire school district or that entire town. Why people choose Lutz, Florida, and then communicate this specific school district. Like what's so special about it? What the neighborhoods are like in it. Like so, taking those titles a little bit further upstream, especially in the stories that you tell, and in the way you find a broader audience.
Thank
Love
you
it.
for thank you for
It's
sharing
gold.
that. It is gold, which is why it's called the golden nugget.
Damn right.
So I definitely want to have you back on the podcast in the future. I think this would be an ideal way because right now we ask the questions that Shelby and I thought of as we went along, but I feel like this would be it could be even more helpful if we got the audience's questions too, because maybe we went
Yeah.
too
Let's
fast,
do
too
it.
far, or, didn't start at the right level. So I would love, if you're listening to this, if you have questions, go on the YouTube and drop your question in the comments of this episode. And when we have you back on, we'll answer all of them.
Yeah. And I think, in the future, what I'm working on is really just dialing this in these systems because a lot of the reason why those guys in Denver close, 7 times more deals than me is because they're better at the systems and they're
Yeah.
better at closing the actual deals. So I think there's some leaks in my funnels that I'm excited to shore up and see what we can do here.
Dude, and when we have you come back after that other Ali gets to go deep more into YouTube, we're having you back a third time because so I can ask all my favorite questions about like what you eat for breakfast and how often you sleep and all the things. Okay?
Yeah.
The meaning of life.
All the
So
like boring but super valuable stuff.
yeah. Oh, it's not boring. Thank you. Okay.
No, life
There it is.
life
Another
is
punch.
boring.
Another punch.
We
Well,
are fighting.
I'm not saying boring as a bad thing. Like those boring, consistent things that you just do over and over again.
Yeah.
Like that's like
That
where the
make up
gold
your
is in life,
entire
right?
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like your whole life is a compilation of those tiny little
Yeah.
maybe
What's that
boring
stat? It's
moments.
like you think the average person thinks 30,000 thoughts in a day, and like 90% of those are repeat thoughts.
I've never heard that stat, but
Never
that's
heard that second part.
Isn't that crazy?
that is nuts.
Your actions are just the same. Like you do 1,000 actions every day, and most of them are repeat. So just choose them more carefully.
Yes. And the habits, the
Yeah.
habits which you choose are the building blocks of your life.
I
But
love it.
we're going to wrap it up. We're going to do this.
Okay.
All right. What is your favorite app or tool?
Calendly. It's just a game changer. So with so many people reaching out, like being able to give them an easy way to book a call with me helps me still seem really accessible and like hey, you're on my calendar. You're going to get my undevoted attention. Here it is.
I love both of us love Calendly too, Ali and I. So we won't
Yes.
fight on that
Yeah.
one.
So valuable.
Obsessed. But actually, okay, question about Calendly then.
Of course.
What kind of prerequisite questions do you have the potential client answer before they jump on a call?
I mean, I might just text them back and forth a little bit, or it's like we're on a phone call. I might answer when they call, or they might text and say, "Hey, are you interested in working with us?" And they give a big explanation. I might just call them, and they're like, "Oh, it's you? Whoa!" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's set up this call. Like, I just wanted to touch base real quick." But there's not a whole lot on my website. There's like a funnel that asks those questions, but it doesn't really limit people on whether or not they can schedule. But it gives me the information. But even if somebody's renting, say somebody's moving from Switzerland and they're renting, I probably still just wanna have a 20-minute Zoom call with them because of so many reasons. 1, they'll probably buy in the future. 2, I can build a relationship and there might be something more to it. And then 3, it's a story for another video. I was talking to this guy from
Nice.
Switzerland that's thinking about moving to the area, like, that is the
Ooh,
story.
that's
And
good.
once you get into the flow of that, you're just harvesting stories all the time.
Dude,
Yeah.
I wrote that down on our note sheet that Ali and I are taking behind the scenes, where I wrote in all caps, like, tell more stories, because I
Yeah.
really do think that, even thinking back on the content that I've done, the ones that I like best and seem to be liked best are the ones where it's like, I just got off a call or I just did this and here's the story of what happened, as opposed to just coming in raw, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
Well, but even if it's, like, after CrossFit and you're like, "Hey, I was doing this, and this is what I was thinking about. What do you guys think about that?" Like, that's awesome. Like, people connect with that kinda stuff. Some people.
some people.
I do.
Dude, what events are you going to this year?
Oh, that's a great question. With a 3rd kid on the way, I'm not really thinking about stuff like that. Also, I got into real estate during the pandemic, and there just weren't really events. What events should I go to?
Well, it depends on what you're interested in learning,
Yeah, I was
you
considering
know?
going to Build in San
Mhm.
Antonio in July,
I'm
I
gonna
think
go
it's
to
July.
that.
Yeah.
Not
What
this
is
year.
that?
This year.
Quick scoop on it, Ali. What is it?
My take on it, I've never been, and I've done very little research, but you know what? I wanna go second on this because
Oh, I thought
I don't
you
want my
knew. Sorry.
I don't really
I don't want my message to be misconstrued.
Gotcha.
Sam,
So
you
neither
go
of you
first.
know. No, I'm just kidding, Sam.
it's
What do you know?
it's kind of EXP specific, just people that are building unique businesses. It's hosted by somebody that has, like, a really big downline, and he's just started doing these conferences to kind of bring the community together.
I'd never even heard of it. I need to get on Google.
There's a couple
Dude,
this
Micah
year around the
blasts it
US, I
all
think.
time.
Sorry, Micah, I can't. But okay, so build potentially. Have you been to FinCon?
No.
That's when, I mean, it's content. A lot of it is content. A lot of it is money as well. But like the content piece of it is pretty heavy. So if you want to be around YouTubers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTubers.
Okay.
I don't know who I want to
Or
be
bigger
around.
pockets. Yeah, that's the thing. Like that's a really hard question if we don't
Yeah.
know like who you want to be around more or what you're trying to learn. Those are probably like the two things first.
Yeah. I'm going to start hosting my own events, local events, mostly to attract agents for my downline and to kind of share what I built through YouTube. So one of my goals is to be like the most known agent in Florida. Not because I do the
Cool.
most volume, but like I want everyone to kind of think like, "Oh, what's Sam doing?" And I think that reputation can be built through events, through YouTube, through all this kind of stuff.
You're going to do it. I'm excited. We're going to come to Florida and visit you.
Nice.
Uh,
We have our first event. It's like local. I mean, it'd probably be like 30, 40 people there, you know?
Yeah. No, that's a good turnout for a first event. I had 4 at mine.
Right. So it's kind of like a lunch and learn on steroids. It's essentially what it is, you know?
Dude, totally. Okay, well, where can well, 2 questions. How can we help you and where can people find you?
Yeah. I love to connect with agents. I love to like if somebody's interested in this at all, like I know Ali and I could talk for hours probably about YouTube. And I don't realize how much I have to share until I start talking to somebody about it. I have so much to share about this stuff because I've worked through a lot of it and I've made these little micro decisions along the way. And once I see like, oh, this is what you're dealing with, like I've probably dealt with it too. So I would love to hear from agents. Instagram's probably the fastest way to get a hold of me at the Sam Caudle. I'm sure you'll link it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
But
I would
spell
love
your last
to.
name in case they don't look at the show notes.
Yeah, so at the Sam Caudle, Caudle.
Yes. And if you would like to connect with us, we are Ali the
No, just
agent.
connect with me. Just me.
We are Ali the agent.
Oh my God.
And the Shelby Show. So before we part ways, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you would like to share?
I want the message of my life to be that like I want to impact people to bet on themselves, to go all in on themselves. And whether that's in real estate or it's in anything else, like just go for it.
That is all we have for today. Sam, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks
Love
for having
having
me.
you. And you know what to do?
Be a bro and share this show.
Boop, 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 boop. Okay, we're done. Thanks for listening, dude. If you want the golden nugget that this guest provided, see the show notes or just go straight to theagentgoldmine.com. That's where we keep the resources for you. Till next time.